When you're tired of all the choices out there and you don't know what to do, you can kick back and watch Tall Guy Eric Reviews.
Hey guys, welcome back to another review video. So today we're going to be talking about the PG32UCDP by ASUS. Unfortunately, this is actually my 6th or 7th time trying to record this video. I've run into a lot of difficulty. It's very unfortunate. Hopefully this is the one that takes, but I guess we will see. So this is ASUS 32-inch WOLED 4K panel, but it also has a dual mode functionality where it can do 1080p 480 Hz at the press of a button. And this is comparable to all of the other 32-inch 4K OLEDs that released this year, all of which just about I've tested. I will be mainly doing a comparison to the QD OLED version of this monitor and the G80SD, which is Samsung's QD OLED. That's the monitor that I've been using as my primary monitor for a very long time. I've had this on my desk for about 4 months, and I've been switching it on and off with the Samsung, and I am very impressed with it overall. Aside from a few minor issues, it has been an incredible monitor. It has been quite a joy to play on. So let's get into what makes this monitor different than some of the other monitors. So first and foremost, it is one of the dual mode monitors. So what that means is if I go into the OSD and I press gaming and I go to frame rate boost, what that does is it toggles the 1080p to or 480 Hz mode. So that's really nice for people who play shooters or anything that requires a really high refresh rate without being extremely taxing on your GPU. I personally don't use the mode very often, but I have tested it. It does work well, and I didn't have any issues with it. So, something to take note of. It goes in conjunction with another feature that this monitor has, where you can go and I have to remember where the setting is. So it's aspect control. It's grayed out, I imagine, because I'm currently playing on HDMI. I'm not 100% sure. It may just be a setting that I need to toggle on, but that will allow you to choose different sizes for the image, such as 27-inch. I think there's a 24-inch option, so you have that as well, which is really nice. Again, not a feature I use very often, but it is there. So you know, with that out of the way, it is a WOLED monitor, so you do get perfect blacks even when light is reflecting off of the monitor. You do get the anti-glare coating that is the exact same as on the other WOLED monitors, where it is certainly there. It is noticeable if you look for it, but it's not very bad at all, and it does a fantastic job of blocking out reflections. I certainly don't mind it. I do obviously prefer a glossy coating, but you can't have it all. And with the anti-glare coating, you do get a few benefits. Obviously, you get reflection handling, and it does a great job of that. And you also get ease of cleaning the monitor, where you can use, like, I personally have a bottle of cleaning spray, and I use it and it works great. It doesn't leave smudges. There's no issues cleaning it. I don't have any trouble getting the residue off. Whereas with QD OLED, that's not the case. It's a lot harder to clean, and it's a lot harder to keep scratch free due to it being that plastic surface. So, you know, something to take into consideration. Another thing that's nice about this monitor is it does have a lot of connectivity ports. So you have two HDMI 2.1s, one display 1.4. Unfortunately, it's not DisplayPort 2. It would have been nice to see that at this price range, but We're still at the point now where the only graphics cards that support DisplayPort 2 are the 7000 series from AMD. It has a USB-C, but it also has up to 90-watt pass-through for power with that USB-C port. You do have to turn on a toggle in the settings to enable that 90-watt power, and if you do so, it does limit the brightness to 60%. That is, I would assume, just a power saving function. But if you don't toggle that on, you get 65 watts, and you can use as much brightness as you want, which is what I currently have turned on. It works great. It's nice being able to use one cable for like your Mac or an iPad or any laptop that has Thunderbolt or USB-C video transfer. So that's awesome to have. I think that every monitor in this price range should absolutely have that. So that's a big win for the ASUS. Another thing that this monitor has that's really nice, it has their custom heatsink, which allows the monitor to get very bright without overheating. It is an extremely bright monitor, especially for OLED. It does get up to around 280 nits brightness in SDR, and it reaches about 700 nits in HDR. Obviously, that's not full screen, but it still looks incredible. HDR is really good on this monitor. With the newest software update, it does allow you to completely customize HDR. So you can change like the color profile, you can change the saturation, you can change brightness, contrast, sharpness, you can change it all. It's really nice to have. I think that every monitor should have fully customizable HDR. Another thing that this monitor offers is it's ASUS's sharpening technology, where it's a little bit better than just standard sharpness, and it's called Vivid Pixel. I absolutely love Vivid Pixel. I think it does a phenomenal job of making everything in the image look sharp without over sharpening. I use mine on 100, and I still don't think anything looks over sharpened, but you can see fine details and edges of stuff that you certainly wouldn't see in a monitor that doesn't have that feature. I've compared this in the Samsung a tremendous amount, and it is definitely the sharper of the two monitors, so that's really nice. The few issues that I have had with this monitor, I do want to touch base on that though. The first is sometimes when you toggle into a game that is 120 hertz, the display will go the display will go black, and sometimes it'll stay black for up to 30 seconds. It always comes back, but sometimes it'll stay black for a little while. It is a little frustrating. It seems to only do it when it switches to 120 hertz, but it does, like with Call of Duty, it does it almost every single time I try to play the game. I'll actually see if I can get it to do it with launching Call of Duty. Knowing my luck, it's not going to do it for the video, but that's okay. I'm still going to try it once I can save. So that is unfortunate, but at least it comes back. With the PG32UCDP, which is the QD-OLED version of this monitor from ASUS, more often than not, the monitor would go black when switching to 120 hertz games, and it would never come back. That's actually why I returned that monitor and why I no longer own that monitor. So I'm going to go ahead and try to launch Call of Duty and see what happens. I think I'm trying to think. I want to say there was another issue that I'd had with this monitor, but it wasn't a very big one. And if I think of it, I will, of course, tell you guys. But let's try to launch Call of Duty. But yeah, like I said, I tested the QD-OLED version of this monitor, and I had that issue, and I had a few other issues that made it to where I couldn't keep the monitor to review it, which is unfortunate. But other than that, this monitor has been really a very solid monitor. It retails for $1,300. It's very expensive, obviously. You do get a lot for the money. As you can see, the screen is black. So this is exactly what I wanted to show. So if I had my other monitor turned on, I would be able to track it with my capture card so you could see that I'm in the game. The game is working correctly, but the monitor is still black even though the game is launched and it's working on my capture card. Now, interestingly enough, normally when it shows the HDMI logo that you just saw, that is when the image comes back. So I'm curious to see if the image doesn't come back at all this time, which would be, okay, here it comes. So this is exactly what I was talking about, and it's almost guaranteed every time with Call of Duty. I mean, you saw how long that was. That is a very, very frustrating thing to have. For some reason, it's mainly Call of Duty that occurs on. I don't know why. Other 120 hertz games, it happens, but it doesn't happen every time. Call of Duty is almost guaranteed to happen. And with the QD-OLED version of this monitor, every time I'd launch a game, it would do that and never come back. I'd have to unplug the monitor. It was very frustrating. I don't know what causes that. I've seen other monitors have the same issues. Sometimes they would take a little longer, sometimes they wouldn't. But it is consistent, and that issue does not occur on my Samsung monitor, ever. So again, don't know exactly what causes it. You can see it's struggling to get back to the home screen again. It may even be a PlayStation exclusive issue. I don't know. I mainly game on PlayStation. It happens and it frustrates me. So take that into account when you are deciding on your monitor. But once we get back to the home screen, everything's fine. Everything works. The image is gorgeous. The color saturation is incredible. I use my color saturation on 70 and everything looks phenomenal. I use this monitor in SDR just because SDR is so bright and vivid and consistent that I don't feel like I need to use HDR on this monitor, especially because I play a lot of games that doesn't support HDR, so I just leave it off. But the HDR is incredible on this monitor. Do I think that this monitor is worth purchasing? If you want the best of the best, you don't need DisplayPort 2.0, and you feel like the 480 hertz would be a feature you'd use, absolutely. Even if you don't use the 480 hertz mode, this is still one of the best 4K monitors because you get all the features that you could want. But it is a very expensive monitor, and it is regularly out of stock. That is something to keep in mind. The lowest I've seen this monitor was 1100. It's on sale right now for 1200. I bought it for 1300. It's very expensive for a monitor, but you do get a lot for what you're paying for. One thing to take in mind is ASUS has come under fire recently for their warranty shenanigans. So you do want to keep that in mind. If you get this monitor, maybe get it from someone like Best Buy or Amazon, where you might be able to just, if you have any issues, you can go to them as opposed to having to reach out to ASUS. I don't have any say in that battle. My one instant with ASUS customer service, it didn't go great, but that was for a PC part. But their monitors are top notch, so that's a risk that is up to you if you think you're going to take. Overall, I do love this monitor. I don't know if it's the monitor I'm going to keep on my desk. It's very hard for me to decide between this and the Samsung. They both have features that make them amazing. The Samsung doesn't have USB-C, which is unfortunate, but it has a less aggressive anti-glare coating. It's also QD-OLED, so you have your benefits of each, you have your negatives, but overall, I'd say that this monitor is absolutely worth it. I would recommend this monitor for PlayStation, at least, over the PG32UCDP. Now, again, that could be a PlayStation-specific issue. It could even be an issue with my capture card, because I have to run everything through my capture card. But I've used two different capture cards. The issue occurred on both. They're two different brands of capture card, both HDMI 2.1, and the issue persisted. I've used two different computers with the capture card, so I've kind of ruled out any possible different scenarios, and the issue still occurs. So, take that as you will. But if you want a monitor that is extremely fast, extremely sharp, the motion clarity is insane, the input lag is very low on every resolution and every refresh rate, it feels amazing. This is the monitor that you're going to want if you're looking for the 32-inch 4K. I will be coming out with a video in the near future on what I think out of every monitor was the best monitor this year. But I will tell you now, before I make that video, this is absolutely a contender. This hasn't left either my desk or the side of my desk since I bought it. I'm constantly switching out because I think that it's such a good looking monitor. ASUS killed it with it. I'm really excited to see what they come out with next year, but if you don't want to wait till next year, or you don't want to wait until the new technology comes out, honestly, you can't go wrong with this monitor. It is truly an incredible monitor. I've had a blast playing games on it. Some games it has brought to life. It made them look better than they did. It's definitely a winner for me. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. If there's anything that you want to know about any of the other monitors I've reviewed, put it in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.
When you're tired of all the choices out there and you don't know what to do, you can kick back and